we have completed 2 lessons on the fruit of the Spirit. Tonight, we will conclude this series with 3 more slices: faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. The last 3 slices of the fruit of the Spirit has to do with our relationship to God. We started with love, joy, and peace. The first 3 of these fruit of the Spirit has to do internally with that person himself, as illustrated in the chart. Patience, kindness, and goodness that we discussed last Sunday is external, something that we relate with others. It is like one of those 59 one another associations in our relationship with others. And tonight, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control has to do with our relationship with God mainly. Although any of these fruits can be internal, external, or in our relationship with God. This church represents our life. Relationship to God, vertical, and relationship with others, horizontal. Let's start with faithfulness. When we think about faithfulness, we think about dependability. We think about a person that we can trust, like a child jumping into the arms of his parents, because the parents are dependable and the child trusts the parent. When we turn on the tap, we want water to come out. When we switch on the light, we want the room to be brightened. And if that does not happen, it's not very dependable, just like Wi-Fi. Sometimes it works, and sometimes you have to reboot to make it work. But everybody appreciates dependability, whether it is the laws of nature, whether it is people, or services. So many depend on the mass transit every day. And when something happens, there is a lot of unhappiness. And when you wait for something you purchase online to be delivered, and you take a day off to wait for the delivery, and then it never comes, not very dependable. But that, having said, it is only human to be unfaithful. Only God is perfect faithfulness. Isaiah 25, verse 1, O Lord, you are my God. I will exalt and praise your name. For in perfect faithfulness you have done marvelous things, things planned long ago. God is perfectly faithful. How about us? Are we faithful? I think all of us, if we're honest, we can do better in this faithfulness department. What comes to my mind when I think about faithfulness is the young man Joseph. Through no fault of his father loved him, gave him a coat of many colors, causing jealousy among his brothers. He was sold as a slave and went through a lot of hardship, but never once he has thought of being unfaithful to God or unfaithful to the family or to seek revenge. In all circumstances, we find Joseph being faithful, even though his brothers treated him badly. Potiphar's wife lied against him, and he was cast into jail. He interpreted the dream of the cupbearer, but that guy, after he was set free, forgot everything about his promises to Joseph and only remembered when Pharaoh had a dream. But Joseph, right to the very end, was faithful. Jesus said in Luke chapter 16 and verse 10, whoever can be trusted with very little will also be trusted with much. And whosoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. So if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? And if you have not been trustworthy with someone else's property, who will give you property of your own? Faithfulness is something that we do with little. Sometimes we think if we have a lot of money, then we'll give to the Lord. If we are able to strike it rich, then we will be faithful. But Jesus says, if you are not faithful with little, when you have a lot, you will not be faithful as well. The second last fruit of the Spirit is gentleness, but actually the word is meekness. Sometimes we look at meekness as weakness. And so most Bible translators use gentleness so as not to convey the idea of weakness. Baker's Bible Dictionary explains meekness does not identify the weak, but more precisely the strong, who have been placed in the position of weakness where they persevere without giving up. And so here we get the idea of taming a wild beast. The animal has not lost its strength, but have learned to be under control. And the destructive instincts are no longer allowed to be exemplified. In fact, the Bible tells us that Jesus described himself as meek in Matthew chapter 11 and verse 29. Jesus says, "For I am gentle and meek or humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." There's only one other person in the Bible that is described in this way, and this is Moses. Numbers chapter 12 verse 3, "And that man Moses was very humble among all the men that were on the surface of this earth." Humble meaning meek. And this is how we should be to God, that we are under control. And when we deal with one another, we do not let our base instinct come out, but be gentle and humble. In Galatians chapter 6, Paul tells us this is the way that we should deal with one another, even if the other person is in the wrong. Brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently. But watch yourself, or you also will be tempted. If we live by the Spirit, and if we display the fruit of the Spirit, we will be gentle in dealing with someone caught in sin. Ephesians 4:2, "Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing one another in love." And so, how can we exercise meekness? The first thing we need to do is to reflect on all those situations where you find it difficult to restrain yourself, and you may have lost your temper, and think about ways in which Jesus was meek. When he hung on the cross, as the song suggested, he could have called 10,000 angels, but he submitted to the will of God in pain and suffering. Think about the moment when the high priest with the temple guards caught him in the Garden of Gethsemane, and Peter cut off the ear of the high priest's servant. And if we were there, we would say, cut the other ear, hit him again. But Jesus healed the ear instead of allowing it to suffer. And then we need to meditate on whether we have been submissive to God's will. Do you ask God to help your will come to pass? Or do you ask God to help you to be part of God's will, whatever it is, however unpleasant it may be? In gentleness and meekness, we need to ask God to mold and shape our will to match His will. Thy will be done. Lastly, self-control. So much in life depends on self-control. Whether you want to lose weight, you want to stay healthy, you want to achieve your goals, you need to have self-control. And if you want to be a Christian, faithful unto death, and not to give up, you need self-control. I can go on the whole night to talk about self-control, but I think it is better to give you example of people who have self-control. As the saying goes, the example teaches. So I'm going to share with you 3 persons that everybody knows their names. And the first one is Thomas Edison, the great inventor. We will all be in the dark ages without his invention of light and 100 and different one things. But if you read his life, inventions did not come easy to him. He went through many failures, and people should be encouraged by what he says in this slide. He says that many of life failures that people do not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. I understand Paul is trying to build up 6 packs, and that's wonderful for young people, but not everyone succeeds. And it takes self-control. I think we all are familiar with Jack Ma and Alibaba, and they are well known throughout Asia. But few know the background of this guy who built one of the largest online portals in the world. Laugh out loud. This guy can't even find a job with KFC. And he was rejected not once, not twice, not 10 or 20 times, but 30 times. Harvard rejected him 10 times. And most of us would have gave up on the 5th attempt. He experienced failure in school, but self-control got him success in a tremendous, enormous, epic way. Recently, top of the news is Joe Biden. His father, Joseph, impressed on him early in his youth that the measure of a man is not how often he is knocked down, but how quickly he gets up. And Joe has been knocked down many times. He was born with a speech impediment, and yet at the age of 29, he contested against a formidable rival and won the Senate and became one of the youngest senators and longest serving senators in America. On the year that he was elected, his family, wife, daughter, 2 sons, was involved in the serious car accident. The wife died, the daughter died, and the 2 sons was in hospital. And so he have to take his oath in the hospital room. But he honored his election, even though it means that every day he have to take a 1.5 hour train ride from Washington, D.C. to his home in Delaware, and so that he can say goodnight to his 2 sons. He tried to be chosen as the President of America 4 times. First time, he failed miserably. Second time, he did not do well. Third time, he was about to throw in his head when one of his 2 sons died of cancer. And finally, recently, as we all saw on television, he won the election over President Trump. Here we find someone who is the oldest president-elect at the age of 77 years old, elected as the 46th president of America. Early childhood, family death, all but one, defeats self-control, wins the day. Self-control is opposite of the works of the flesh that indulge in your own sensual desires. It is an ability to control your body and your appetites and your desires, being moderate in eating, drinking, and self-indulgence. The Bible says in Galatians chapter 5 and verse 16, "So I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh, because the desires of the flesh is contrary to the Spirit, and the Spirit is contrary to the desires of the flesh." Peter also emphasized on self-control in this list of Christian virtues in 2 Peter chapter 1 verses 5 to 7. And so tonight, as we conclude these 3 lessons on the fruit of the Spirit, we understand that the Spirit is the holy presence of God. In Galatians 5:22, the phrase fruit of the Spirit is referring to the results, the consequences of our life living with the Holy Spirit. I want to close with 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16, where Paul asks the question, "Don't you know that you are the temple of God, and the Spirit of God lives in you? And if the Spirit lives in us, we should exemplify all the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control.